all, we're here to talk a bit more about the structure of our book one. We know it's in 4 parts. We've spoken about the first part, where we're introducing the new strings and the new notes on those strings. We didn't introduce any new techniques at that point because they were all coming in the second part of the book that we're going to talk about now. So can you tell me, how did we go about introducing those new techniques?
When we wanted to introduce the new techniques, the new rhythms, we made a conscious decision that we wanted to just use the D major scale. And that was because by now the D major scale should be well underneath everybody's hand position. And it means that they're not trying to learn new notes at the same time as learning new techniques. And we started off by introducing slurs, and we have 3 tunes looking at slurs, and then we go on to introducing semiquavers of 16th notes, and then we went into looking at dotted notes, and finally we went on and we introduced 6/8 time. It was kind of quite interesting, wasn't it, Mark, when we were thinking about introducing slurs. How did we go about doing that?
Yeah, well, we wanted to keep the notes as simple as possible, so we literally had F sharp, E and D, that's it. And then we also put lyrics underneath to try and explain our process. So what we've done on those slurs is we've literally started with just minims and no slurs in sight. And then we've used the same notes but stopping the note in the middle, so we can then allow the bow to stop and then move in the same direction. And then we join those notes, and the last bit is a bit more complicated but can be done later on. But we use this variation form to do it, which we've used before, haven't we?
Yes. And I do like the fact, Mark, that we do go from a nice smooth separate bows to broken slurs to slurs, and then a mix of slurs and non-slurs. But in that last variation, the bow speed is the same all the way through, even though we do have a mix of slurs and no slurs. Could you tell us a little bit about the lyrics and how we decided to use the lyrics within the slurs?
Yeah, I mean, you can see here in this variation 2, it's the first one, we've got the slurs, and we've got the lyrics all the way through, but you can see here that we've got 1 slur but 2 lyrics. And in a way, if you're a singer, you might look at that and say, well, that's not actually right. You should have 1 lyric with a dash when you've got the slur. But it's completely conscious on our part that we feel it's much easier to measure how much bow you're using when you've got an extra word. So the lyrics here literally have down bow in the first bar, up bow in the second, which reflects the bowing that you're doing. Now, if we had just got down and up, you sort of down, and you've no real indication when to lift your finger off, and then up. But if you have down bow, there goes my finger, and then up bow, it just helps that process. And we are aware that it could mean that you slightly mark the next one, but that's okay when you're starting these things off. It can smooth off later.
Yes, thank you, Mike, for that. Number 19, where we introduce semiquaver 16th notes. We had great fun with that one, didn't we? Sticky toffee pudding, pepperoni pizza, stacked upon my plate, that does look yummy.
Yes, the thought of somebody putting all these combinations of ingredients on their plate at the same time. Let's put it this way, that the end of the song has an inevitable result.
Yes.
And of course the kids absolutely love that. But I think probably adult learners would rather like it as well.
Yes. Clever Cat, I think we've actually been quite clever in Clever Cat in the way that we've moved from crotchets to quavers to semiquavers. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have a lovely picture of Spot the cat playing his violin there, and how he's done it. Spot has organised it that he has crotchets, followed by quavers, followed by semiquavers, and then quavers again, and then a crotchet. Or we've got quarter notes, then 8th notes, 16th notes, 8th notes, and quarter notes again. So it's this way of dividing the beat and then showing it how it goes back to the long beat again. It's rather nice, and it happened to work beautifully in 3 beats and a bar.
Yes.
It isn't the easiest piece, so we've backed up that rhythm in the piano part as well, so the teacher can really help.
Excellent. Now, I'm kind of pretty proud of how we've done dotted notes, because in number 21 come and play with us, we've actually used the word and in the appropriate place. So the first part is spot and dot, ti, clap and sing, they point and then they say. So the and comes in the right part of the bar from a counting point of view, and then we've also kind of underpinned that actually we do need to clap and we do need to sing and we do need to point and kind of do all those things to really embed high quality rhythm within our playing.
Yes, and I think it's a terrific first song for learning dotted notes. And the next song is quite good because we could use the fact that one of our characters is called Dotty Dog. So we've got Dotty's dotted notes, and the end of that song actually really reinforces that idea where we have the whole counting spelled out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we also use brackets, so 1 and 3, 4, like a whispered note with the 2 and the 4 in the brackets. And I also like the very end where we got 1, 2 and the 3 in brackets because it's a minimum and just shows when to come off those notes. So I think we've really done a lot of work reinforcing the counting in the lyrics here.
Yes. And then when it comes to the 6/8 time, I think we've both found in the past when we've introduced 6/8, quite often the tunes jump into quite complicated rhythms right at the very start, and we made a conscious effort to try and break the 6/8 down. So we started off with number 24, Quiver of Eighths, where we've just used quavers.
But we also use the
Eighth notes.
accents as well, which is quite nice, just to show the way that they group together.
Yes, and it's just quavers all the way through. And then in Higgledy-Piggledy, we've kind of mixed up the quavers with dotted crotchets. And again, we've tried to underpin some of the counting within the lyrics where we've actually used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's right. And also we've kind of, within the lyrics, tried to underpin how valuable practice is in our playing. So again, we've used practice and practice and practice. Practice will sort it all out, which it does.
But I also think in the next one, Paul, something quite nice. In the next one, Ducks in a Pond, we introduced the slurs with those same rhythms, with the quavers and the dotted crotches. But we had, again in the lyrics, I think quite a nice little thing, which is, it's rather like the Swan by Saint-Saëns, where you have the piano being the busy feet underneath and the cello being the lovely smooth swan on the surface. The lyrics talk about this, that the fingers being busy like the duck's feet, whereas your bow's got to glide like the ducks on the surface. And I think those metaphors are very handy for managing to play that in the right manner.
Yes. And then kind of when it gets to 27, that's where we've actually introduced the crotchet and the quaver rhythm, which is quite hard to do, both rhythmically, but also from bowing distribution. So we've tried to really embed a real understanding of 6/8 before we've thrown in that more difficult bow control.
Exactly, and then we have one final piece, Jig Together, which is the first one in the book, which doesn't have a piano part, so it's a pure string duet. Both parts are also the same level, and in this one we have all the different aspects that we talked about. So there's more of the crotchet, quaver, or quarter note, eighth note rhythm there, which, as you say, Paul, was quite a challenge from a bow distribution point of view. And then we also had everything else that we've covered, and we even put dotted minims in to show how the whole bar is used up as well in that one.
And because the series is designed to work with all instruments, it actually means that you could do a double bass and viola duet in any of those instruments playing any of the parts, and it will work.
And talking about duets and multiple part pieces, those people who have seen our beginners book will know that the first 20 pieces have an A and a B part. And if you look at it carefully, you see some of the B parts have actually got slurs, for instance. And you might be thinking, well, you're only introducing them now. Well, it's really because we don't see Stringtastic Beginners as sort of there it stops and then book one starts. Those first 20 tunes are a little bit of additionality. So we think you can finish your working through beginners, then go on and look at book one, learn all about the slurs and things, and then you can actually go back and do some of those tunes from Stringtastic Beginners as well, so that you get the big ensemble pieces that you can also have more practice on your slurs and other techniques.